where this is the Chiefs at the end of the day, like it or not, with Patrick a year away from going to their third straight Super Bowl, they are a team that just needs something to sustain their success. They were not in the playoffs this year due to a multitude of reasons. But now Kansas City doesn't need to look as a rebuild. They're just recalibrating. They have to get some things right. And I'm going to start with their offense. Their offense looks stale this year. Chiefs fans will tell you. I've written about it. Their offense looked stale, flat, predictable. It did not look like it put any pressure on anybody's defense. And that's the problem. When you have that great of a quarterback and those talented pieces, you have to ask yourself, what happened? And I'm going to start with coaching. I'm going to be real with you. No offense to Matt Nagy, really. But at the end of the day, for a guy who is tasked with some of the day-to-day stuff, that's on him for not cleaning it up and getting those guys prepared. Andy Reid also takes some accountability for it for not addressing it sooner. But by all reports, it looks like Matt Nagy will be leaving either through a head coaching position or just be stepping down and going somewhere else. So I have a couple options for the OC for next year for Kansas City that I kind of want to run through and just present my pros and cons for each person. Going from 5 to 1. Number 5, I'm going to go with Mike Kafka. All right, Kafka's I feel like is a safe pick. He knows the building. He knows Mahomes. He was the former quarterback coach, and he knows Andy Reid's system. He knows exactly what is expected of him, his responsibility as the OC instead of just being the quarterback's coach. But the problem is he was not only the OC in New York, he was also the interim head coach. And at no point did anyone think, oh, yeah, he should definitely get the job. He showed some inconsistency with some play calling. His conservative leaning play calling also hurt the Giants as well. Now, some of that could have been in response to Jackson Dart being too wild and dangerous, which I will give him some credit for, trying to reel him in and make sure that, hey, dude, I need you to play football healthy. You cannot constantly be going to that blue tent. But no matter what the reasons were, it still was conservative. So should Kansas City, who just had an issue with their play calling, go with a guy who had issues with his play calling? He's a solid coach, but I just feel like he's not going to transform the building. My number 4 pick is Kliff Kingsbury. Kliff Kingsbury has known Patrick Mahomes ever since he was in high school. Obviously recruited him, got him to Texas Tech, and was his college coach. But the creativity is so important. Like it or not, with Kliff Kingsbury, there are a lot of positive when it comes to him as a coach. But here's the biggest negative that I can see. Throughout his coaching career, and granted, this is him as a head coach, he has struggled to finish seasons in multiple stops. I'm talking Texas Tech, Arizona, and even Washington. His offenses have consistently started hot, firing, ready to go, but then fatally go down as the season's gone along, almost as if he wows everybody September, October, early November, and then defenses start to catch up in late November, December, and January, and the record shows. Here's what I mean statistically, and I had to look this up, and it's true. His teams in the first half of the season are 68%. 68%. That's amazing. That is amazing. But in the second half of the season, it drops to 27%. Like it shows that he's so innovative and he understands who his guys are, but he's clearly not adjusting as the season goes on. His most glaring one was back in 21, where the Cardinals started 7-0 and they collapsed to abysmal record. And with that offense that he has, I think he can definitely bring in some leadership, some comfortability for Mahomes as a former head coach. But what I think this organization needs is more creativity. They need structure and they need accountability, which is the confusing thing. Why, when you look at my list, you would go, why are you putting Mike McDaniel number 3? And the reason why is he is, again, Mike McDaniel at number 3 is one of the more creative minds in football. And And under Andy Reid's structure, he will thrive. His offense is a timing offense. It's going to require guys to be a lot more accountable to keep it efficient. He is all about efficiency and finding ways to run the football creatively, which is what the Chiefs need. They need the ability to run the football well. They need the willingness to run the football consistently. Mahomes will be coming off an ACL tear. He will not be 100% until the following year. So for 2026, if Mahomes makes it to game 1 or game 10, whenever the timetable is, they're going to need to be able to allow him to recover and allow him to not carry the offense like he has been the last couple years. But the concern for McDaniel is his discipline and consistency. And I think what can really help Mike McDaniel is seeing how does Andy Reid, a guy who's not a yeller like Nick Saban, a guy who doesn't get on. I mean, he will get on guys, but he's not a Bill Parcells just yell, scream, curse kind of guy. He's clearly a guy who loves his players, but his players respect him. So he can almost see and be coached and taught under another great play caller who players love and even somewhat develop the fear that is needed so that when he becomes a head coach again, he can bring those lessons to whatever job he decides to do. Mike McDaniel will be a head coach again. He's too young, too talented, and has a lot more coaching to do to not get that opportunity. And I think Kansas City's environment will be perfect for him and allow him to almost thrive without the pressure of being the head man, which is what I think happened in Miami. My number 2 pick, Eric Bieniemy. I just feel like this is a guy who right now coaching for the Bears on their coaching staff is doing an excellent job with their running backs. And he's just the running backs coach. He's not even the offensive coordinator. And I think he's too talented, too much of a dog in him to not have that position again. And I think bringing him back to Kansas City, Clark Hunt just needs to write a check and go, hey, we want you back. Andy, please bring this man back. Please. Because the biggest thing Andy Reid, not what Enemy brought, was his knowledge of the offense and his demanding of accountability. He was able to make other guys accountable for when they drop passes, for when they missed routes, for when Mahomes missed time to throw. Like there's sometimes on a coaching staff, you need a guy who's going to bark at players. Not everybody needs to do it because then players just get wear down by that. They don't want to be coached like that all the time. But 1 or 2 guys on your staff has to be a guy who barks, and one of them has to be a coordinator. Typically, it's your DC. Defense naturally, as I know, defense naturally is the more emotional position group. But when it's your OC, it spices things up. Definitely. Your offense, I promise you, they're like, golly, we got to do this again. And no matter what anyone can say, Bieniemy brought that. He was so good at that it feels like it's almost inevitable that they at least attempt to bring him in. The problem with him is it almost feels like a retread hire, like been there, done that. We've already brought in Bieniemy, and this is my personal pick. This is who I would love to get. And the other problem is some fans may feel like, hey, he's only good under the right circumstances. He doesn't elevate guys. He just almost just goes with the flow. So if bad organization, he just doesn't elevate them. And that's a fair point. He went to UCLA, he went to Washington, and they had some moments during those seasons, but it was never it wasn't transformative. And the Bears offense right now obviously runs through Ben Johnson's, like credit to Ben Johnson and what he does, but that's not fair either. Bieniemy clearly has his footprints on their success. Lastly, my number 1 pick is Brian Daboll. I think he's the perfect guy to come into Kansas City. Daboll, known as a small, fiery guy who wants to win and demands excellence, not to mention he wants to be a head coach. Daboll challenges his players. He demands excellence. There's going to be a natural friction between he and some of the coaches. He is an experienced head coach. I think the other thing that some people seem to forget is he's a different personality type than Andy Reid as well. And I think that's sometimes the other thing too. Not everybody on a staff can be the same. And I want so desperately for the Chiefs to recognize that and see if, hey, or you want to come in and fix this offense. Because I promise you this, if Dayball goes and comes to Kansas City and fixes that offense, immediately he's getting a head coaching job. Because everyone's gonna be like, oh man, we can't have this guy back. We can't have this guy back in their building. They're gonna keep winning. His record alone speaks for itself. He was Buffalo's offensive coordinator and helped Josh Allen turn it around. Obviously, before he was fired, Jackson Dart was going until he got hurt again. And at the end of the day, that's why Brian Daboll is my number one selection.